Well, Vic, we are once again gathered with one of your vintage shirts from the 1980s. This is a Fort Fizell Commander-in-Chief. Who made you that?
Somebody in my office made this for me right after I was elected DA when they started calling us Fort Fizell, and we decided, they were calling us that to
like antagonize you?
Antagonize.
You kind of latched down and thought it was cool?
Because I changed the policy about letting lawyers just come and wander around through the DA's office.
No,
I walked into my office one day and there was a defense lawyer sitting behind my desk with his feet up on my desk reading a file he had absolutely no right to see because he had bluffed his way past the receptionist. Wow. So I had a door installed from the lobby that you had to check in with the receptionist, sign in, and then she'd buzz you through.
Right.
And the defense bar got really mad about that and started calling us Fort Fizell
it's like Watergate,
slam.
Man. It's like Watergate. They're just like breaking into your office looking at the files.
I know. And they meant it as a slam. And I said, I like the way that sounds. Let's just adopt it. Let's make some shirts. And next thing I know, I've got this
shirt. You were given the Commander-in-Chief?
Made for me by one of my my secretaries that worked for me back then.
How old is that shirt?
This was made for me in 1983. 1983.
It's... I don't know, man. Like the last few episodes, you just keep showing up with these shirts that are older than I am.
Jonathan,
how do you still... is this like a thing? Do you collect shirts? Is this like one of your hobbies?
I keep the ones I like. I go through some and I pass them on to... Well, it used to be Goodwill. Now I give my older stuff to Waco Mission.
There you go.
And... but there's some that are collector's items that I just want to keep, so I don't wear this very often.
No, but it stood the test of time. Looks great.
Stood the test of time.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I take care of stuff.
You take good care of them.
Keep it. Jonathan,
30 old shirts.
I got socks older than you, dude.
That's... I mean, I guess that's a testament to how good they make things.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I find something I like, I hang on to it,
That's insane. Well, Vic, we're talking today because
this watch I have on. I think I've shown this watch before.
What's this watch? Oh yeah,
it's
a
Hamilton. I've had that since 1991. Long after I bought this watch, this style became popular. This style originally came out in the 50s.
Like some deco thing.
Yeah, and that was kind of like patterned after the fins on the back of the cars.
Cool.
But then they put out a silver version when Men in Black came out, and this was the watch that Men in Black wore. I don't know.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Will Smith.
Yeah. Will Smith.
Yeah.
Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk today, Vic, because we have some important information that we think should go to our listeners.
Yeah.
When it comes to what we're currently dealing with in a COVID world, and it has to do with auto insurance, Vic.
It does. Nobody likes to hear about insurance, but this is so important. We have had to let go of 3 cases just recently.
Like last week and a half.
Because there's so many people out there driving right now that can no longer afford their insurance.
Correct.
So they're driving without liability insurance. Now, and I think as time goes on and we see the impact of this COVID virus on our economy, and unemployment starts to run out, and that extra money people have been getting from the government starts to run out, we're going to have more and more people driving out of necessity, but without liability insurance. And here's the problem. If you have liability insurance, it will pay for them if they get hurt. But if you get hurt, you're out of luck.
You're out of luck.
Because if they're uninsured and they can't afford their insurance, that means they can't afford to pay your medical bills. That means they have nothing that the sheriff could go take away from them. Most everything under the Texas Constitution and most state constitutions would be exempt from being seized for that kind of judgment debt. Mm-hmm. So if you get in a car wreck with one of these people who has no liability insurance, one trip to the emergency room can cost you $10,000 or even more if you have to have more imaging, depending on how bad you're hurt. Mm-hmm. And you're stuck with those medical bills. You're stuck with not being able to get your car fixed. So I picked up the phone last week and I called my insurance man. I'm with State Farm. I don't like State Farm. I don't. I hate all insurance companies.
None of them are really the best. I mean,
but I like my agent. I don't like adjusters, but everybody likes their agent. Don't get adjusters and agents confused. The agent's the guy who sells you the policy and helps you out with little things here and there along the way. But if you ever get into a wreck, then you're dealing with somebody at the corporate headquarters that's called an adjuster. And they are trained to be meaner than junkyard dogs. They're trained to treat you like a crook. They're trained to shame you, embarrass you, do everything they can to get you not to file a claim. They're trained to say no, 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 and force you into filing the lawsuit. Or they're going to pay you so little that it's not going to take care of you, especially if you've got future issues involved. So you need a lawyer. But anyway, I called my insurance agent with State Farm, a really great guy, lives here in Waco. And I asked him, what would it cost to buy for the average person to add UMUIM? Remember those letters, UMUIM. It stands for uninsured, underinsured.
Yep.
Yeah. Uninsured motorist, underinsured motorist. Because underinsured is, say somebody hits you and they have the minimum $30,000 policy, but you've got $200,000 in medical bills. What are you going to do then? That person is underinsured. You'll get their $30,000, but it's not going to pay for your medical bills. So if you buy these policies, it protects you if you are hit by somebody who doesn't have insurance or who doesn't have enough insurance. And you might say, oh man, I can't afford it. My liability insurance costs me enough.
Right.
Well, here's the good news. This insurance is cheap.
It's very cheap.
It's cheap. And it's cheap because in the past, it hasn't been used that much. So I'd buy it now. Lock in the price for a year if you can before they raise the price on it, because it's going to start getting used more because of all these uninsured people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes,
He
sir.
told me that you can get a policy called 50-100.
Yep.
Which is, he'll pay up to $50,000 for one person, up to $100,000 for everybody involved in your car in that wreck, and your property damage.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you know what that cost?
How much?
$10 a month.
It's well worth it.
So
Well worth
for $2 Starbucks a month, you could be protected and know that your family is protected. Your children are protected if you get hit by an uninsured motorist.
Mm-hmm.
Get this. If you want to step it up a step, you can get $500,000.
$500,000.
$500,000 uninsured, underinsured. That's what I've got on my truck.
Mm-hmm.
And I told him check and see if they have more than that, because if they have more than that, I might want it.
Yeah, why not?
$500,000 in uninsured, underinsured motorist coverage is $15 a month.
See, it's just well worth doing.
Yeah.
Vic.
So you could get 100 for 10, or you can get 500 for $15 a month.
Right.
Or if you're in a wreck with your children and your little boy, your little girl gets broken bones, has a head injury, has to go to intensive care, and you're sitting out in the waiting room, assuming you're not hurt real bad, you might be in intensive care too. And you're wringing your hands worried about, how am I going to pay all these medical bills? Well, call your insurance agent today and tell them you want uninsured, underinsured, and you want PIP, personal injury protection.
Yes.
You can get
It starts at $2,500.
$2,500
And that's money you can
5,000.
tap into immediately
immediately.
to help pay medical expenses.
Immediately. But before you tap into it, call your lawyer. And I'd say call us, because we know how these policies work. A lot of lawyers don't know the difference between PIP and MedPay.
Right.
Well, PIP, you get that money. It never has to be paid back to the insurance company, even if you settle your lawsuit. Mm-hmm. You get MedPay, and you got that $2,500, and it gets applied to a medical bill, and then you settle your lawsuit. they get that money back.
They're going to get it from you.
And there's not much difference in the cost between PIP and MedPay.
Correct.
So you make sure you've got PIP, PIP, not MedPay. MedPay is evil. MedPay is
It is evil.
it's a corporate fiction just to suck money out of your pocket. And then you're going to have to pay for it and give it back to them if you ever use it. So get PIP. I have at least 10 grand in PIP. I don't know. I may have 50 grand in PIP because it's not very expensive either. And the reason you need a lawyer is because some of the, your doctor doesn't work for himself anymore. That hospital you used to go to and everything was locally owned. It's not locally owned anymore. I remember when Providence, I used to go visit with a head nun, mother, I can't remember her name now, but this was in the 70s. Yeah. And the mother ran the hospital. She was the main administrator. You don't see that anymore. They're all owned by these health conglomerates, and they all have their forms for you to sign and fill out, and these checks you got to do, and these, well, you signed this, and it's got this little tiny print that you're sitting there bleeding in the emergency room. They want you to sign that, and you're signing away your PIP. Yeah, and what they do is, that all these medical bills are inflated. Always inflated. And if you don't have insurance, they charge you a whole lot more than what they charge your insurance company. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've got PIP, what that medical facility is going to do is try to get you to sign over that PIP, and they're going to take it and bill you at 100% of whatever that bill is. Where if you hire us to handle your lawsuit, handle your car wreck for you, we get involved even at the PIP stage, and we don't let those doctors apply that PIP.
Right. And as a rule of thumb, never give any medical provider your auto insurance policy information.
Never give them your auto policy, because I'm not talking about your nurses. I'm not talking about those people. They're a lot of sweet people. I'm talking about these conglomerates that own all the medical facilities around here now. There's some of these major corporations that are just sucking the common people dry. Mm-hmm. And so they'll bill you at 100%. They'll bill you, like $1,000 for that Band-Aid and say, okay, that's what the PIP went to. Well, see, we keep that from happening. And also we make them apply for your health insurance rather than taking your PIP first. Mm-hmm. Make them use your health insurance. And then we'll, even after your case is settled, we go and negotiate those health bills down so that you don't have to pay all of them. Now, we make a little percent on top for what we save you, but man, we're putting a lot more money in your pocket. A lot of lawyers, they'll settle your case and then give you a check and you're out of here, and you're
paying full bills.
You're paying full bills. They don't negotiate your bills down. You'll come in to pick up your settlement check and you go, where'd all my money go? Well, this medical bill, and they're paying 100%. Mm-hmm. We don't do that. We verify every LIN. We make sure it's right. We verify every charge. We make sure that you really got that stuff. And then we go to them and say, here's what we're willing to pay, or you can fight us over it. And nearly always they'll deal with us, and we'll save you some money there.
Absolutely.
So we'll save you your PIP, and we'll get your medical bills cut down.
Absolutely.
And we'll go after the third-party liability policy if there's money there, if you haven't been hit by someone who's uninsured. So please call your insurance agent today.
Review your coverage.
Get PIP. Get about 10 grand in PIP if you can afford it. Get at least 2,500. And get UIM, UM, because more wrecks are happening with people who have no insurance.
Yep, we're seeing it.
Yeah, don't be a victim. Take care of yourself. Hi, I'm Vic Fazell. During these trying times, you might want to just stay home. And at the law offices of Vic Fazell, we understand. That's why we're set up to handle your personal injury claim without you even having to come in. Just give us a call, and we'll take it from there. We can send any paperwork straight to your smartphone or computer. Don't delay, because if we don't put money in your pocket, you don't owe us anything. I'm Vic Fazell.